The objective of the head setup job is to position spacers on heads for slitting steel coils. The equipment used includes chutes, a table for tooling, and heads. The tools used include a tape measure, a grease gun, a wrench, a gauge, and a turntable built into the floor. The materials used include plastic spacers weighing 20 pounds, metal spacers weighing 60 pounds, grease, rags, and directions. The work environment is an indoor work environment with heat and no air conditioning. The workers observed were 5 feet 4 inches and 5 feet 5 inches tall. The work tasks for the head setup job begin by using the controls to move the head setup in and out of the work area. Then the worker will loosen, get, carry, and position braces from the back of the head setup. After this is completed, they will get the pipe extension to open the head setup machine. Next, the worker gets the spacers from the head, carries the spacers to the chute, gets the spacers from the chute, carries the spacers to the head, and positions the spacers on the head. At this point, the worker will check directions as needed and confirm the position of the spacers with the gauge. Next, they close the head with the crank, and using the grease gun, the worker applies grease to the top and bottom head. Lastly, the worker carries, positions, and secures braces to the back of the head setup. There were several ergonomic risk factors observed while workers completed the head setup work tasks. A medium level of repetition was observed. Workers' hands were in constant steady motion and exertion to position and remove spacers from the head setup. Sustained exertions included continuous standing. Forceful exertions were required to get, carry, push, pull, and position spacers. Forceful exertions were also required to toss spacers to the top spindle on the work table, and to apply grease by pumping the grease gun. Forceful exertions were also required to get, carry, position, and secure braces to the back of the head setup. They were also required to open the head setup using a pipe extension. And finally, forceful exertions were used to turn the crank to open the head setup machine. Awkward postures included torso and neck flexion, or forward bending, to view instructions on the horizontal work surface. Awkward postures were also observed in the form of torso flexion, or forward bending, to get the spacer from the chest, apply grease, rotate the crank, and inspect the spacer. Elevated and extended arms were also used to get and position spacers. Lastly, extended reach and lateral bending, or sideways bending, were used to position space on the spindle located above the work table. The mechanical or localized contact stress observed included contact stress between the palm of the hand and the spacers when the worker pounded spacers with the palm of their hand. It is important to note that gloves are worn. The recommendations for the head setup job include: consider using a rubber mallet instead of pounding with the hand on the spacers to decrease localized contact stress. Investigate platforms or other mechanisms to raise workers or lower the spindles to decrease posture stress. Consider using stands for positioning the build instructions to decrease posture stress. Investigate power tools for opening the head setup and applying grease to decrease forceful exertions. Investigate power tools for opening the head setup and applying grease to decrease forceful exertions.